So this video is going to be my take on History Channel's Vikings. So there's a lot of people out there that absolutely hate the show, and on all the message boards and forums and stuff, they're sort of decrying it because it is so historically inaccurate and all that. But I would just like to say that, yeah, I see all the inaccuracies. I'm not, deluded that it's accurate at all or anything like that. I know that it's really, really not, and there are some things about it that really do frustrate me. Part of it was the fact that a number of the things that they depict Ragnar doing aren't even true to the saga of Ragnar that they're following. One part of it, without giving anything away, was actually done by his son Bjorn in the sagas. So, they aren't even following the story particularly well. And, putting 16th century Bergenet helmets on people who are supposed to be Saxons is a little iffy at best. And, don't get me started on their depiction of the seer and how insane that kind of is. But, that being said, I do enjoy the show. For what it is, I view it as historically based fantasy, and it's sort of in the same way that the sagas were written as well, where some of the feats that were achieved by some of the heroes couldn't possibly have been real. Even let's say even if dragons existed, there's no way that Sigurd could have accomplished some of the stuff he did, and all these other heroes and things that great crazy feats that just don't seem plausible at all. And it's sort of at the same rate. It's sort of written in a way that sort of like the Avengers. The Avengers takes place in the modern world, but it's sort of an alternate universe where all of these things are possible. Because not many of the superheroes really actually, obey the laws of this universe. The laws of physics are, totally off. So, basically I just view it as fantasy. So there's a disconnect. So when there's a piece of armor there, I go, oh, it's just that, whatever. And some things can be excused as, they only have so much available to them archaeologically, and they needed to make a number of costumes that are distinguishable among the different, group to group, or person to person in the case of the main characters. That's why you see some really crazy things on people like Rollo and Ragnar. Because they have to be able to distinguish them at a glance, and you just can't do that if they're all wearing, the same thing, the same kirtle, the same hood, the same everything. So, yeah, it's all sort of fantasy stuff in my opinion, and a bunch of Hollywood filling in the blanks, and that goes for pretty much anything that Hollywood produces. For anything that Hollywood produces that's in another time period, you kind of look at it and go, okay, well this is fantasy, so there are going to be things that are inaccurate about it, or are sort of like fill in the blank, or are done for the purpose of making it look better, or read better on screen or whatever, or make it more dramatic. So it's sort of like an AU situation. Unless they go about it as this is what happened. And then you should tear them to shreds because they kind of deserve it. And it is very much the same way that the Vikings would have looked at it, where an event that somebody did might not have been so gripping that you just can't stop listening to the story. And so then in subsequent retellings, it gets more and more dramatic, and certain things change, and things change with the time period so that they can actually be understood by the current audience, and sort of using things that they may have been familiar with from another time period a little bit further back, just to make it sound like it's antique, but it's actually that object is not what was used, or that, let's say somebody had a helmet and it was of a design. It's described as being of a design that wasn't available then. Well, that's kind of the same deal. So basically, look at it from fantasy and enjoy the show. If you want to pick it apart and you enjoy picking it apart, that's totally fine. But if you're one of those people that's very frustrated with it because you just can't unsee that, if you view it through the historically based fantasy lens, it gets a lot easier. So, thank you for watching.